She had just given birth. She was bleeding. She was in pain. She was lying on a table in one of the most vulnerable moments a human being can experience. And she made one simple request. She asked for anesthesia before they sutured her wound. That request, that one completely reasonable, completely human request, is what ended with a doctor raising his hand against her. This happened 3 days ago. It was filmed. It went viral across the entire world. And it has ignited a conversation about something that has been happening in hospitals for decades. Quietly, behind closed doors, where no cameras were present. This is the Kinkole hospital case. And it is about far more than one doctor. Kinkole General Reference Hospital, Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo, March 26, 2026. A young mother had just delivered her baby. It was supposed to be one of the most significant moments of her life. But the delivery had left her with tears that needed to be sutured, stitched closed while her body was still in shock from childbirth. She was lying on the table, exhausted, bleeding, completely exposed. Before the procedure could begin, she made a request that any patient in any hospital in any country has the right to make. She asked to be given anesthesia first. She did not want to feel the needle without pain relief. She had just given birth. Her body had already endured everything it could endure. She was asking for basic dignity. The doctor assigned to her care was Dr. David Balanganayi Kayembe. His response was not compassion. It was not patience. It was not the measured, professional response that every medical oath in the world demands. He lost his temper. What happened next was captured on camera by someone in that room. The footage shows Dr. Balanganayi striking the patient, a woman who had just given birth, a woman who was naked on a delivery table, a woman who was bleeding and in pain and surrounded by medical staff, who were there specifically to protect her. He did not stop at one strike. The footage is unambiguous. And perhaps most disturbing of all, the rest of the medical staff in that room stood and watched. Nobody intervened. Nobody stopped him. The camera kept recording. Within hours, the footage was everywhere. Social media in the DRC, across Africa, and then globally. The outrage was immediate and volcanic. Millions of people watched a doctor, a man who had taken an oath to do no harm, do the opposite of everything that oath stood for. But here is what the viral moment cannot show you. It cannot show you how many times this has happened in rooms where there was no camera. There is a term for what happened to that woman. It is called obstetric violence. It is defined as any brutal, humiliating or degrading act inflicted on a woman during pregnancy, labor or delivery. It includes physical assault, verbal abuse, forced procedures without consent, denying pain relief, treating a woman's body as a medical object rather than a human being. It is not rare, it is not isolated, and it is not unique to the DRC. Studies across sub-Saharan Africa have documented obstetric violence in hospitals in Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, and dozens of other countries. A landmark study found that 1 in 4 women giving birth in African healthcare facilities reported experiencing some form of physical or verbal abuse during delivery. 1 in 4. Most of them never reported it. Most of them never had a camera in the room. Most of them went home carrying something they were never supposed to carry. The memory of the worst day of their life being made worse by the person assigned to help them through it. The Kinkole footage broke a silence that had been maintained for decades. Not because it revealed something new, but because for the first time, the world could not look away. The reaction in the DRC was swift, and for once, it went to the very top. The First Lady of the Democratic Republic of Congo intervened publicly within hours of the footage going viral. She condemned what happened without ambiguity and called on authorities for a response that was, in her words, rapid, rigorous, and exemplary. The Provincial Health Minister, Dr. Patricia Ngongo, announced immediate action. A procedure was initiated to permanently strike Dr. Balanganayi off the medical register, removing his license and banning him from practicing medicine in the DRC for life. On the afternoon of March the 26th, 2026, the same day the video went viral, Dr. David Balanganayi Kayembe was arrested by the judicial police. He was placed in detention. A formal investigation was opened. The Medical Council of the DRC launched its own disciplinary procedure in parallel. Sources close to the case indicate that permanent exclusion from the profession is expected within days. Dr. Felix Momat, a gynecologist who went on record immediately after the footage emerged, called it exactly what it was: a moral failure, a professional failure, and an institutional failure. He was right on all three counts. There is a question this case forces us to ask, not just about Dr. Balanganayi, who will face justice as he should, but about every room where a woman has made a reasonable request and been met with something other than care. The systems that allowed this to happen did not appear overnight. They were built slowly, through years of unchallenged power, through the assumption that a patient's body belongs to the medical professional treating it rather than to the person living inside it, through the silence of colleagues who saw and said nothing. A camera changed everything on March 26, 2026. But the women who came before her, the ones who had no camera, their stories mattered just as much. Their pain was just as real. Their requests were just as valid. The most important question this case leaves behind is not what happens to one doctor. It is what happens to the next woman who asks for anesthesia, and the one after that, and the one after that. This case is still developing. Dr. Balanganayi is in custody as of today. The investigation is ongoing. Ward Chronicle will follow this story as it develops. If this case made you feel something, if it reminded you of something you have seen, experienced, or heard, leave it in the comments. This conversation needs to be louder than it has ever been. Next week on Ward Chronicle, we step away from darkness and into something different. A patient who was given less than zero chance of survival. A medical team that refused to accept that verdict. And the moment that no one in that room will ever forget. Subscribe to Ward Chronicle, because every story, every single one, deserves to be heard.